play with. Again, we're not there quite yet. We're kind of learning how to speak the same language with people in the room that have been here, some new pieces. We want to play fast. We want to play physical. We want to play with a certain edge to ourselves. We want to not lose the game by doing dumb things.
Elsewhere in the NFL, guard Wyatt Teller announced that he will not return to the Cleveland Browns in 2026. And an update in Milan as the United States women's curling team won in suspenseful fashion to make the semifinals in an extra end as they won 7-6 over Switzerland. They play again tomorrow against Switzerland in the semifinal draw.
For more, log on to theGameNashville.com. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
USA. Yes, that's right, folks. The USA women's team just took home the gold medal over Canada 2-1 in overtime in Milan. So that's one USA hockey team to win the gold. Will the men follow in the women's place? We will have to see. But welcome into the George Plaster Show, February 19th, a Thursday. It is 70 degrees outside. Feels great. However, it's a little bit cloudy, a little bit rainy, so not ideal, but at least it's warm outside. Certainly won't complain. Weather is supposed to dip, or at least the temperature is, in the coming days. So enjoy the warm while it is here. Loaded show today. We're going to talk about the Titans and free agency, kind of continue our conversation around them because the coordinators were introduced yesterday. Brian Dable, Gus Bradley. Almost forgot his name for a second because he's so new. Gus Bradley, one of the better defensive minds in the NFL. So we're going to talk about free agents that could potentially fit the Titans, be a good fit for this team in 2026 and beyond. And we'll have the college basketball insiders at 4 o'clock as well. They will join us for their weekly visit as once again, college basketball has just been delivering night in, night out, another great night of hoops, especially in the SEC. With that, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't already, please subscribe to the George Plaster Show YouTube channel, where you will get all of our shows that we've done. You'll get notifications when we go live, like we are right now, and you can catch up on any show that you might have missed. So please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's head out to Murfreesboro, where we will talk to the very alert, the very energetic, positive, enthusiastic Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how's it going?
That describes me to a T. Thank you.
To a T. I know you like that introduction. I may have to dial it back, but
yeah, you better dial it back.
So,
Absolutely.
Did you just see what just happened in Milan?
I did not, man. I've been in here looking over stuff. I didn't see what. I know that you just said that they beat Canada, so that's the first. That's the first one we beat Canada.
I know. I was actually because they went into overtime. It was tied 1-1. The U.S. they had a goal. They scored a goal within like the final, I want to say 2 minutes to tie it up. Sent it to overtime. The U.S. did the old, pull the goalie. Let's get 6 on 5. They score the goal. They go to overtime. And then I was literally walking to the next room to go get some water, and I hear the announcers just going crazy. And the U.S. scored a goal within the first 3 minutes of overtime, and they get the gold medal over Canada. So, again, beating up on little brother. It's always great.
Have you ever seen a women's hockey game? I mean, are they physical? How does that work?
I don't know. This was the second time in my life I've ever watched women's hockey.
So when you watch today, were they fit? Do they get physical? Like, do they hit each other hard? How does that go?
I mean, about as hard as they can. Yeah.
Really? So they get after it. Okay.
Yeah, they get after it. And I just learned this today. The captain of the U.S. women's team, her name is Hillary Knight, and this is her 5th Olympics.
Oh, wow.
So she's been at it for a while. Late 30s, if I had to guess.
Gotta be.
Yeah, she's been getting after it for a while, but she's a Sounds like she's the GOAT of U.S. women's hockey. That's what it sounds like. So congratulations to the U.S. women as they take home the gold. Let's go over to George, who joins us again via phone. George, did you catch the ending of that?
I did. And honestly, it's about the only piece of it that I saw. I just happened to turn the TV on here getting ready for the show and saw the goal that won it. And, it's a tremendous moment. They certainly didn't come in, I don't think, favored over Canada. Canada has such a rich history of hockey. This is a great win for United States women's hockey.
And I know the first time that they played, which Kelly is ironically the first women's hockey game I watched, they played Canada and they won 5-0. So I thought that they were going to win pretty easily today, but no, it took until the final seconds and ended up going to overtime. But a great win for the U.S. And the men, they got a 2-1 win, as we talked about at the end of the show yesterday, over Sweden. And by the way, this is our daily update for those of you that did not realize that by now. But the U.S. men, they got a 2-1 victory over Sweden, and they're going to play Slovakia tomorrow. And Canada will take on Finland. The winners will advance to the gold medal round, and the losers will advance to the bronze medal round.
All right. Patriotic, baby. Let's go. Team USA.
And to make it even better, the gold medal game is on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You can watch it right before church.
That's the good thing about those NFL games on overseas when they go play in Europe and they go to all these places. You get up in the morning and there's a football game, which is pretty cool.
So Canada and Finland tomorrow at 9:40 a.m., so not too early. And the U.S. and Slovakia will be at 2:10, so I'm sure that we will be giving updates throughout the show. The bronze medal game will be at 1:40 on Saturday, and 7 a.m. on Sunday will be the gold medal. And looks like Norway's kind of running away with, we'll get a quick medal count here. 34 medals for Norway. And I believe they had one guy win 10 by himself, so it's almost like they're cheating. 16 gold medals for Norway, 26 for Italy, and 25 for the U.S. So the U.S. is in third.
Wow. That's crazy.
So
Norway.
that is, yeah.
Norway.
Norway's kind of running away with this, which makes sense.
Nobody over here even knows where Norway is.
Norway doesn't have football, so these are the type of sports that they focus on. So
that is true. That's what my daughter keeps telling me. She's like, Dad, these people over here don't even, like, these kids don't even know what high school football is in Belgium. And I'm like, yeah, okay, there you go.
They don't know what high school football is in Belgium.
Palm Beach.
No, they don't. George would have a hard time there. They don't really care too much about the sports.
Isn't it just south of West Palm Beach?
Yes, it is.
They get after the Winter Olympics.
Yes, they do.
That's their deal.
You don't mess with Norway when it comes to any of the skiing, the figure skating. That's all of them. So we'll have to see what happens, though. The U.S. still has a chance to take the top spot. But this is this is really sad. But there was a bill today that was passed in Indiana, and it was unanimously.
Unanimous.
Let's
There
sound
you
it
go.
out. Syllables. Unanimously. There we go.
There you go.
Thank you. It was unanimously passed today in Indiana, and it paves the way for the Chicago Bears to move to Indiana.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
So it's going to be right there at the line. It's going to be right at the state line, obviously.
Yeah, let's not act like they're moving to Indianapolis, to share
Right.
stadium
Right.
control. It's 25 minutes south of Soldier Field. Okay, they've been trying for 18 trillion years to get a deal done in Chicago. I mean, I'm gonna give them a freebie on this. They have tried everything. They tried to buy the racetrack, Arlington Park, nothing has worked.
I have been out to Arlington Heights. Very, very nice. And I don't know what's going on with all this. They would be at Wolf Lake, the Wolf Lake area in Hammond, Indiana, which I believe is close to Gary, I think is the city, I guess it's closest. So, yeah, not too far. Still in the greater Chicagoland area, but still. I don't know how I feel about this, Kelly.
I'm kind of like George, man. It's probably going to be cheaper if they do that. And if you live in northern Indiana and you like the Bears, it's going to be an easier trek for you. That I promise you that, because I can remember traveling from Indianapolis going to Chicago with my wife and my kids. Sometimes we'd go up there, and that traffic up there is crazy. So the people in Chicago might have a little bit of trouble getting down, but I can see. I mean, it's all about we talk about this. It's all about money, and if they're not going to let you have what you want in the city of Chicago, then hey, move it. Doesn't matter. It's still the Bears. Still the Bears there, Parker. Don't worry about it.
The Indiana Bears, baby. The Gary Bears. In other NFL news, Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson confirmed to ESPN that he will be returning for a 14th season. He missed the final 7 regular season games and the Eagles' playoff loss in the wild card round with a Lisfranc injury.
Those are tough, man. People, I can remember when one of our receivers had that in Indianapolis and nobody ever heard of it. That was like, I've been gone for a long time, but that was almost 20 years ago. And one of those Lisfranc injuries is right in the middle of your foot.
That was
yeah. And man, those are, I think it has something to do with your, it's on the bottom of your foot, obviously, but there gets some, something in there. I don't really know what it is, but like it takes a while for that to heal, and it's kind of a nagging injury. I can remember them talking about it. That was the first time I'd ever heard of it, and it took him a while to come back.
And remember, go ahead, George.
Well, I just said Lisfranc.
Lisfranc. I'm surprised I didn't learn that word when I was over in France.
Yeah,
Lisfranc.
I remember, Kelly, the first time I ever heard that, I was like, what in the hell is that?
I'm telling you, and I had turf toe in both my big toes, and people always said it's just a toe. Okay, it's just a toe. Well, you have turf toe in your toes, and you find out just how painful that is. And then if you get a little bit of arthritis in there, it is not fun. I promise you that. And it was in both of my toes, and I've been shot up in my toes before. Anything with your foot, man. Yeah, it's awful, man. You know how painful it is. So anything that happens in your foot is not fun.
Joe Burrow was out for 3 months with it.
Crazy, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and remember too that Lane Johnson, he's not going to be reunited with his offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland, who announced that he would be leaving the Eagles. So something to keep note of there. It was a crazy night in college basketball last night. Once again, Tuesday was probably the craziest night of the week, but last night was pretty nuts as well. Talked about Vanderbilt, how they'd be going on the road to Missouri, and while Missouri was fighting for their NCAA tournament lives, and while Columbia, Missouri is not exactly a gauntlet in the SEC by any means, it was still a tough road test for Vanderbilt. They ended up losing 81-80. They trailed by over 20 at one point. They came all the way back, and they were actually this close, George. I know you were watching. This close to winning it on a half-court buzzer beater that hit the backboard and then rimmed in and out.
So, Parker, you were not alive for this, but my friend Barry Goheen had about 5 of these in his career. Longtime Vanderbilt fans will remember. And I can remember the one that he missed. He missed about a 45-footer at Alabama one night at the buzzer that would have beaten them, and it was just like the shot last night. And when they showed the end zone, camera angle, it looked like the thing was going in. And truthfully, Vandy shouldn't have won last night. It was a carbon copy of the Oklahoma game where they got very little done for about 35 minutes and then somehow crawled back in it. But now it's on to Tennessee Saturday at Memorial Gym, which will be an absolute, notice the pun, dynamite atmosphere.
Good pun. Good usage of the pun there, George. Tennessee won last night versus Oklahoma 89-66. The Vols have won 7 out of their last 8, with their last 2 losses both coming to Kentucky, in which they had double-digit leads at one point. I think this game's going to be fascinating on Saturday afternoon. The SEC last night was wild, and it really started with this game. Alabama and Arkansas, a top 25 matchup, 117-115 in double overtime. Alabama wins.
It's amazing, George. It's amazing these teams score, man. That was like an NBA game last night.
Yeah, not a lot of defense, but I got a stat for you. Arkansas scored 115 points and committed, I think the number was 7 turnovers. Since in the last 30 years on the college level, anytime a college team has scored 115 or more and committed less than 10 turnovers, do you know what their record was going into last night?
My guess would be undefeated. Whatever the
that's
number
what I was going to say. Never lost.
I think I heard this right. 247-0.
Good gosh.
Good gracious. That's wild.
So
Parker, and I watched that game. It was crazy, and Alabama got back into it because they were at one point 80% shooting in the second half.
50% from 3 overall, made 13 that's Arkansas. Alabama still made 10. And one of their better players, LeBaron Philon, 35 points, but was on the other side. Arkansas has this really talented true freshman by the name of Darius Acuff, and he had 49, the most points ever scored by a true freshman under John Calipari.
Unbelievable.
So it was an amazing game. I mean, it's one of those, they called it an instant classic, and it was.
It was phenomenal, and Coleman Coliseum was rocking as you would expect. And then Josh Hubbard, for Mississippi State, he's about the only offensive weapon they have. They beat Auburn last night. Auburn is now 14-12, and every time I check bracketology, Auburn is a 9 seed, and I'm like, how in the world is this possible? And now my guess would be that they would be firmly out of the picture. But Josh Hubbard had 46 points. So if you take what he scored and what Darius Acuff scored, they had a combined 95 points between 2 players. Just absolutely incredible offense last night in the SEC.
I watched that Josh Hubbard a couple of nights ago, man. He's he can score, dude. And he's not a big guy, but man, he can score. And the Acuff kid he's hard to guard. There's some players in the country that are really good, and there's a lot of young guys that are really good, which is quite fascinating.
Part of it is nobody can keep up with this guy on the dribble. I watched, I was flipping around last night to a bunch of different games, and nobody can guard Hubbard, which is good because they have absolutely nothing else.
Nothing. There's no help. And it was so funny because after he scored a bucket last night, there was this video that was going around social media today. He was like, "This is why you don't leave state." And it was so funny because he was saying it next to Keyshawn Murphy, who transferred from Mississippi State, or Keyshawn Hall, who had ended up transferring from Mississippi State at one point. So it was really funny. BYU lost to Arizona. They're really struggling in Big 12 play. Arizona 75-68 winners over the Cougars. Creighton came out of nowhere and beat UConn in Stores 91-84. That's certainly not expected. And then Kansas beat Oklahoma State 81-69. Darren Peterson had 23 points in 18 minutes and pulled himself out of the game.
Well, he's had these cramping issues, and Bill Self is right. This is a real concern for them, because who knows whether they can win a national title with him at full speed in this. He can play 18 minutes. They got no chance.
It was and that's something I'm going to talk to the insiders about, because Kelly and I have been talking about this, it seems like the last 2 weeks. But if I'm a team and I'm getting ready to draft Darren Peterson, I would have many second, third, thoughts about this guy has not been available. And I don't doubt the talent, but at some point, if you're not available due to the cramps, and then that night that he told Bill Self that he wasn't going to play against Arizona 2 Monday nights ago, I believe he probably could have gone. He literally told Bill Self while they were doing the pregame layup lines, I question his love for the game. That's the truth.
I'm not willing to go there because I don't know what he's dealing with. You got to be real careful when you start questioning that kind of stuff. We're just not close enough to it to know what he's dealing with.
I will say this. I question a lot of young men these days, because I think, I'm not saying this is just in general. I question some things with college football, and you can get into college basketball, but I think a lot of these guys sometimes love getting recruited, but they don't want to put in the man hours and do what it takes to be a great player. They just want to show up. And, I think that's a real big hiccup in today's game.
No doubt. And the last thing for me before we head to the break, congratulations, Vanderbilt baseball, 16-2 winners over Eastern Michigan last night. I believe it was a no-hitter. So I don't know how. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how they get 2 runs on a no-hitter. George, did you watch this at all?
No, I don't think it was on Fox.
No, I think it was just streaming only, SEC Network Plus. But yeah, so Vanderbilt 3-2 on the year.
Poor old Eastern Michigan. It's probably been freezing up there. It's probably the first weather that they've seen above 32 since like July?
Yeah. Winter comes early in the northern states, and probably the first time they've been able to play baseball outside since the summer. So
yeah.
All right. That concludes our update. On the other side, we're going to get into a little Titans free agency talk. Who are some good fits for the Titans this upcoming season? We'll get into all that on the other side. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you're looking for fun for the family, look no further than Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. The bowling is a blast. The people around it make it even better. And you know what? They've got a staff that will make sure you have a good time. So don't wait. Go have some bowling fun at Strike and Spare, the official home of the 4th annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Bank anywhere, anytime with Wilson Bank and Trust. Open an account online today and manage your money with ease. Whether you're checking balances, depositing checks, or paying bills, with our secure digital banking solutions, your finances are always at your fingertips. Get started at wilsonbank.com. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
I'll make you an account then.
Okay.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. We're talking about Titans and who might be some good prospects in free agency for the team. Clearly, we know that there's a lot of teams, and if we're just being honest, the Titans just need a lot of really good football players at many positions, not just one in particular. Kelly, we talked about, I think it was last week, about who we believe the Titans should draft with the 4th overall pick. I think we were both in agreement that they should probably go edge rusher. So wide receiver, I know, is another really pressing need, and that's just something that I've been thinking about over the course of the week, because there are 3 wide receivers in particular that I'd really love for the Titans, and I'll just go ahead and show. This is the guy that I really want the most for the Titans. I'd like to get both of your thoughts on this. Alec Pierce. I believe you could get, if you consider how much cap space the Titans have, $100 million, which is the most in the NFL. This is a guy that I think the market value for him, according to what I've seen on Spot Rack, is around $20 million a year. You might be able to get him for a little bit less, but this is a guy who is very fast, a very real speed threat down the field, uses his body for contested catches. Titans need a lot of help at wide receiver. Alec Pierce isn't a wide receiver 1 by any means, but I certainly think a guy that eclipsed 1,000 yards last year, I think that he could be a huge help for the team.
Do you think, I think you just said it, but do you think he's a number 1, Parker?
No. I don't think he's a number 1. I think he's a very good number 2.
See, so if you in my opinion, George, go ahead, George. Sorry.
He's a hell of a lot closer to being a 1 than Calvin Ridley.
Oh, there's no question about that.
Right.
But my whole thing is, you've got 2 young guys in, the guys they drafted last year, the Io Manor and the Chim DK. So, I mean, what are you going to do with those guys? How do you feel about those guys? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you think he's a number 1 guy. It's you look at it, it's not like a Mike Evans. Like Mike Evans is, and I don't know if he's a 1 guy anymore, but he's been a 1 guy for a long time, and he's in free agency too. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about that one. I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think he would help the Titans tremendously. And he's a hard worker, and he's got speed, and he catches everything around him. So yeah, he would be a good fit. But like, is he comparable to those 2 guys that you just drafted? You know what I'm saying?
Well, first of all, whatever he is, he's proven it in the league.
Yes.
You get to 1,000 yards and you've proven something. Now, they're off to good starts, but they haven't proven anything over the long term. Both been around for a year, and both of them are really promising. But Kelly, I want to ask you this as we go into this conversation. how many of the players in free agency just simply say it's about money and nothing else? And then how many of them sit there and say, look, I our careers are short. I want to play somewhere that's got a chance to win. And when you get to that, what does Borgonzi sell them? Does he say, we're 2 years away, we're 1 year away, because these people aren't stupid. They know this place has been a complete screw up with an owner who has been anything but a positive. How do you get around that? And do you have to get around it?
I think you do have to get around it. I think you have to sell Cam Ward. I think you have to sell his potential to guys. I think you have to sell the community of Nashville. Great place to live, great place for your kids if you have a family. I think you got to build up the coaching staff that they've hired. I think you got to build up Robert Saleh being kind of a man's man. And I think you've got to look at the defensive and offensive coordinators that have been head coaches that have a lot of knowledge of the game. I think it's all about whoever's goal. Like let me use Mike Evans for example. He's probably made all of his money. He's made a lot of money. He's been the number one guy for a while. He's had a great career in Tampa, and I think that is he the guy right now that's into going into a rebuild to try to help guys get better, or does he want to go win another Super Bowl? He's already won one with Tom Brady. Maybe he says, well, I've already earned a championship. Now I'm going to see how much money I can get out of the rest of my career, and maybe I can go to a place that can help Jim DK and Alec Iomanner and all these younger guys, Gunnar Ham, all these guys that are in that, I know he's not in the room with him, but, Gunnar Hams is a tight end. But can I help these guys be successful and win? And can I maximize the money that maybe I can still get? I think that's what you have to sit down with your agent as a player, as a family, as your family, and say, hey, well, what am I in this for now? I've already won a Super Bowl. Now, am I in it just to, make as much money as I can and go out and try to help younger guys? Or am I not worried about the money and I'm going to a place that I know can win? Because right now, the Titans are in a situation where, I don't know if it's going to be next year. We're certainly hope it can. We certainly hope that this, it's like the St. Louis Rams where they were really bad, and then Kurt Warner comes, nobody knew who he was, and they go to the Super Bowl, and then they become the fastest show on turf. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, but it can in free agency, and they've got the money to do it if they're very specific with the guys that they get. So I just think it boils down, George, to what is your goal as a player in free agency right now? Are you towards the end of your career, or you still got some years left where you want to maximize stuff?
See, you brought up two receivers. To me, Mike Evans, it screams Buffalo. They might be Mike Evans away from knocking down the door. Mike Evans isn't going to knock down the door in Tennessee. It's going to take a bunch of pieces. Pierce, he sees them twice a year. He knows that for now that he could come in here and be a number one, whether he is or not. He's the closest thing they would have to a one. But I would assume that he would ask Borgonzi, how close do you think you are to winning? Because I have no desire. None of these players have a desire to be in back-to-back 3-14s.
Right.
And so I would think somebody would be asking Borgonzi, how close do you think you are? And I'd love to be a fly on the wall to hear his answer.
Now,
I will say this though. I think Alec Pierce is. I mean, he's a younger guy, and I just brought up Mike Evans for that, man. I kind of agree with you because that's a perfect fit for him because they're ready to win now. If you're Alec Pierce and you're a younger guy, I think the situation kind of fits great for him because, just like George said, the NFL organizations and personnel people want to know. It's just kind of like the Indiana effect with Kurt Cignetti. He wants people that have produced on the field. That's who he signs. Alec Pierce has produced on the field. He's fast. He's very reliable. He's going to be on the field. And he's a young guy, and he can stay here for a long time. But I think you're right too, George. Whether you sit down with Borgonzi and see if they're headed in the right direction, and then you got to make a decision as a player. Is this the place for me? And you know what? You might have a home run right there. I don't know.
Well, George brings up a good point about, how close are you to winning? Let me present to you another guy that is on my list of free agents that I'd like the Titans to at least inquire about. Wan'Dale Robinson from the New York Giants, another guy that, like Alec Pierce, eclipsed 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. They're both the same age. They've both been in the league for 4 years. And there's two reasons why. He's gotten better every year since he's been in the league, and he proved that, like Pierce, they could probably have the same level of impact. When Malik Neighbors went down, he was forced into the wide receiver 1 role, and he did well, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 92 receptions, and Brian Daboll. That's the connection. So you'd probably be able to get him a little cheaper, if not the same price as Alec Pierce. So that's another guy I'd like the Titans to look at.
Well, go back on Pierce for a second because I've looked this up because I've been kind of intrigued by this one as well. In his career, he's averaging 19 yards a catch. A year ago, a little more than 21 yards a catch. So
which was most in the league, I think.
Yeah, he's not your 3-yard sideline.
Yep.
This guy's stretching defenses.
Right.
Let's be honest. Since A.J. Brown left, they haven't had anybody stretch a defense.
No, they have not. I mean, and you look down the history of the Tennessee Titans, even when Steve McNair was there. I mean, you had D. Mace, you had Derek Mason, but there's really been no huge name guys until A.J. Brown got there. And I don't know, they used to bring guys in, and George, you talked about it yesterday, but, for 20-something years, I mean, they've been known. They had, we talked about identity. I talked about identity a lot yesterday, but their identity was giving it to Eddie George, giving it to Chris Johnson. You knew what they were going to do, giving it to, those guys. And I think the Alec Pierce guy, I was looking at it, and y'all brought up some really good points. I think I don't know if he's a number 1, but I think George said it right. I think he could be a number 1, and I think he's, both those guys, the Wan'Dale Robinson kid, I think he's another guy. I think he could be a good addition. I think if it's me, I'm Alex Pierce over him.
No, I'm with you. That's why Alec Pierce is number 1. Let me present my third guy because there are a couple more guys that I want to get to as well. And VFLs everywhere will love this, but Juwan Jennings, I believe that you could get him for a fair deal. We're talking about a guy that probably would have been Super Bowl MVP about 3 seasons ago if the 49ers would have won the game. And he's just got the dog in him. And the Titans need a lot more of those guys.
To me, he is tough as nails. You talk about a guy not afraid to go over the middle, take punishment. He's done it pretty consistently on the pro level. Kelly, in a system where he's been overshadowed by Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk for a while. He's really been a very productive third receiver for them, and he's got a background with Saleh.
Yeah, and he's got a background of being from Murfreesboro here, so I think he would be a great fit. The reason that Juwan Jennings was he was a rookie free agent. He didn't get drafted is because he can't. He's not very fast, but the guy makes plays, man, and he's very consistent. And I think Parker brought up the biggest thing of all. He's a dog. I remember talking to, and this is going to bring up for people around here, but Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt's a friend of mine, obviously the coach at UT, but he would always talk about Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings kind of held stuff together. Jawan Jennings he is a very competitive guy, and he is not scared to get up in your face. And if you want to throw down, he'll throw down. And I just love watching that guy play because Brock Purdy has a relationship with him on the field because he knows that if you have a tough yard to get for a guy or a tough first down to get, he can throw it to him no matter where it is. He's going to catch it. Everybody remembers, the Hail Mary he caught against Georgia to beat Georgia down there.
Man,
he's going to catch he's going to catch everything around him, and he's going to make people better. And he seems like he reminds me like a Hines Ward. He's not scared to block. He loves blocking. He loves mixing it up. He loves getting in there. And I think that would be a heck of a sign if the Tennessee Titans did, because I think he brings another thing about identity. I think he brings an identity to an offense of just tough, nasty, do whatever it takes type of guy. And I think that's kind of what they need.
Been in the league for 5 years, had 9 receiving touchdowns last year. All of these guys are in their prime. And according to SpotRack.com, his market value is estimated around $22 million, $22.5 million. So that's a pretty fair deal. 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball. And this is going to be a conversation that we're going to have a lot because Robert Saleh's scheme, Gus Bradley's scheme is a little bit different than what the Titans have run in the last 12 to 13 years that they've been an organization. But they run the 4-3. So obviously we're going to have the conversation more and more often about the edge rushers, the linebackers, the Reuben Baines, the Arvell Reeses, the David Baileys of the world. But we also need to address the secondary, because if you have a defensive line that can't get after the quarterback, that makes having a good secondary that much more important. 2 guys in the secondary that I wanted to bring up. One is a guy that was actually traded from the Browns to the Jaguars this last year, was Greg Newsome. I think Greg Newsome is a guy that can play zone, can play man, fits the scheme very well, very solid corner, could get him at a fair deal. Alontae Taylor of the New Orleans Saints, I guarantee you he's going to hit the open market. I don't think the Saints are going to bring him back. Another guy, VFL, played his college ball at Tennessee. Same thing, can play zone, can play man, get at a fair market deal. You might be able to get both of them.
Okay, so let me ask this. What's the amount of money they have available?
$100 million.
Okay, Kelly, if you've got $100 million, first of all, you're combining that with what you want to do in the draft. Do you think they're sitting in that room going, listen, we either get Reuben Bain or we trade down?
Let me see. Okay, let me ask you this, George, because me being on the offensive side of the ball, I think you're right. Reuben Bain, I think that's what they want. I think that's kind of the Robert Saleh guy that they've kind of put their, and nobody's saying it, but I think that's what they've kind of put their eye on. And if they don't get him, I think you're right. But if they don't get him, do you think they go after an offensive tackle?
I'm not going to sit here and admit, and tell you that I've done a lot of studying. I've done more studying about tree damage and insurance companies over the last 10 days, if we're being honest. By the way, if you want to know what Vietnam looks like, come look at my yard.
George has sent me pictures. That is true. He's not lying.
So back on the actual subject, that's the kind of thing they've got to get in a room and decide, which is, okay, if he's not available, do we fix the left tackle once and for all? Or do we try to trade down and get several pieces? And to me, Kelly, that determines exactly what you do in free agency. Because I would assume with $100 million, you could get 6 or 7 pretty dadgum solid pieces, could you not?
Absolutely, you could. That's why we were 3 years ago. We were so excited because they had so much room in salary cap, and then they squandered it. And I hope Mike Berganzi is not the same guy, and I don't think he is. I don't think he squanders it. But I think with Robert Saleh being the coach, and he's a defensive guy, and they need an edge rusher, I think Parker's probably right. I think they're looking at the Ruben Bain kid from Miami because he's really good, and I think he could be there for a while. But then if he goes off the board, then that you're right, George. That's why they go into those evaluating meetings and they say, this is what we're going to do, and then maybe if you don't get him, could you trade back and get some multiple picks, and then maybe. My whole thing is this, and I've told y'all this before, as a quarterback, I think if you've got a can't miss left offensive tackle, which I don't know if there's a can't miss guy. I say that every time we talk about the draft, but if you have that guy, I think you got to draft him. But because I think that, you talk about the David Bailey and all these other guys, Parker. I think that defensive linemen, now Ruben Bain might be different. David Bailey might be different. Those guys might be different. When you get them when you watch them work out, when you get them in a room, they might be generational talents. But you can find defensive linemen and linebackers all day long, but you can't find offensive tackles all day long. So that's kind of where. I know I'm a quarterback, and I know I lean towards the offensive side of the ball, but it all comes down to what they need and what they think as an organization they need first.
Yeah, and we had this conversation last week about the defensive the defensive end versus the left tackle, and my thing was, you have Dan Moore, and technically you're able to clean cut after 2 years, and this would be his second year on his contract. But you're not going to draft Francis Mauigoa, who is a traditional right tackle, and you're not going to flip J.C. Latham back to left tackle because they already tried that. J.C. Latham is your right tackle. So I don't know. I think the edge rusher takes priority right now rather than your left, because you might be able to stick it out one more year with Dan Moore and then find a left tackle next year. But the Titans haven't drafted a first-round edge rusher since Derek Morgan in 2010. So I think it's time that they spend a first-round pick on that.
This is going to be an important year for J.C. Latham, because he's got somebody around him who's going to give him the benefit of the doubt in Dayball. Dayball knew him at Alabama. Dayball spoke very highly of him yesterday. But to be honest, he hasn't been what Dayball thinks he's been. And either he's going to have to step up his game, or Dayball's going to be a little disappointed.
No, absolutely. So, and he did mention J.C. Latham, which I thought was really interesting, because when you're bringing up the Titans offensive line, you'd probably think that he'd mentioned Skoronski, but he mentioned Latham. So let's open up the phones, have time for about 1, 2, maybe even 3 callers, depending on how quick they are. 615-759-9949. Let us know your thoughts of the prospects that we just threw out, the free agents, the potential free agents that we just threw out. Let us know your thoughts on that at 615-759-9949. We'll get to those on the other side of the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a race and sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. State-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Welcome back in on the George Plaster Show. Final segment before we head to the 4 o'clock hour. No phone calls, but that's all right because I have a question that I want to ask the guys. So you both threw out the hypothetical that there might be a trade back situation. And I'm thinking to myself, well, usually those types of situations happen when there are a lot of quarterbacks and there are a lot of QB needy teams in this draft, but not enough QB ready guys. And I was looking at Daniel Jeremiah, who does a fantastic job for the NFL Network. I was looking at his list of the top 50 prospects. Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number 1 overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. Who's the second best quarterback in the class? A lot of people believed it was going to be Dante Moore, but he decided he wanted to go back to school. And then you have Trinidad Chambliss in there. You have Ty Simpson in there. Daniel Jeremiah has Ty Simpson as his second best quarterback prospect, but he has him as the 40th overall best prospect. So pretty safe to say that he's probably not going to be a top 3 pick unless something crazy happens. So let's say the Titans did find a trade back partner and they traded back to, let's say, 7. Do you think it would warrant a top 10 pick on, let's say, a guy like Mekhi Lemon, the receiver from USC?
Not me, because to me, look, I did this during the break, and I know Mike Borgonzi would appreciate this. Mike, if you're listening, call me. I'll be glad. So, Kelly, I got out my legal pad, and I wrote down 3 boxes. One box has a first-round draft pick of Reuben Bain. The second one is a box with a first-round left tackle. And the third box is a trade-down box, because this is ultimately what they have to do to try to make sure that they're covered on all these scenarios as they get ready to go to war. So in free agency, give me the positions that you all believe they must improve in free agency.
Well, I've got 3 right off the top of my head: edge rusher, wide receiver, corner.
That's what everybody thinks. I agree with that.
Okay. that didn't exactly, that didn't really tax anybody's brain to come to that conclusion. So edge rusher, corner, wide receiver. Those are the top three, correct?
Yep.
Okay. What would you have fourth and fifth?
I think you got to get another. I think you got to get another lineman. Kevin Zeitler's up. I don't think
Like
I
a
don't see him.
tackle?
I don't see him coming back. So I think you got to get another lineman, and then I just like safeties are not really a big deal to me. Which I'm going to go back on what y'all talked about. Parker asked about the 7th pick of getting the guy, getting the lemon kid. For me, I don't think you waste a draft pick on a wide receiver that early in the draft. That's just me. I don't know. It's just hard for me. That's why you look at the New England Patriots and they never took running backs, man. They would always get an older guy. I just think there's so many other things you can do other than getting a wide receiver that early. Now, maybe if there's a generational guy that's like a Jeremiah Smith, yeah, maybe he's a Jeremiah Smith and that's all you need. Yeah, absolutely. You take that. But I don't see that. I can never bring myself to that. That's always used for, offensive tackles, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, those type of players. Maybe a tight end. I don't really think a tight end, but
Yeah.
it's just I just think that's what edge rushers, tackles, quarterbacks, and those cornerbacks are the guys that are going to get drafted in the top 10, top 15. That's just the way I see it, and it's hard for me to look at a receiver like that.
Yeah, I think Mekhi Lemon is probably the only guy that I would feel comfortable, even in the slightest bit, taking in the top 10. But I don't think – I think you got to go edge rusher and maybe offensive tackle. But we can talk about this another time because we do have to hit the break and get to the Basketball Insiders at 4 o'clock. We'll do that on the other side of the George Plaster Show.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Fort South. Tired of complicated car visits? We've made it easier than ever to book the service you need or schedule time with our sales team. Whether it's time for routine maintenance, a recall check, or you want to test drive that new Ford you saw online, your next visit starts with a simple click. Our website is always up to date and easy to navigate. Don't put off that service or that upgrade. Take control of your schedule and your vehicle needs today. Schedule your service appointment today at newtonfortsouth.com.
Are you a plumbing pro or a sales ace ready for your next adventure? Busy Bee is hiring now. We need a lead residential plumbing installer with 5+ years experience, technical skills, and a can-do attitude. Or join us as an HVAC comfort advisor where your sales experience makes a difference every day. Great pay, supportive team, immediate start. Apply today at Busy Bee HVAC and help us build better, more comfortable homes. Don't wait. Buzz in now.
Call 775-7833.
Totally Blue Raiders.
Lane against Porter, layup good.
Totally Nashville.
Carter drives into the lane, over to Lands, 3 off the wing, good.
Totally Murfreesboro.
And Middle Tennessee gets the win.
Blue Raiders live on Totally Hits 93.3.
After a long day, you're ready for something that actually delivers. And Nashville's Best Deals is delivering big. This week, score half off a $20 gift card to Mr. J's Original, home of the best pastrami sandwich in the South. Thick, stacked, and loaded with flavor. Add burgers that hit hard, comfort food classics, and breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner done right. All served with real Nashville hospitality. Eat what Nashville loves for less. Grab your deal while supplies last at 949thefan.com/deals. Nashville's Best Deals. Eat better. Spend less.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. A few showers and some areas of dense fog lead to a partly cloudy afternoon. Temps go from the upper 50s to the mid 70s and could be near record breakers with a few more storms after sunset.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Ponce Law is the only injury law firm with the Crash Cam Network, capturing accident footage on highways across Middle Tennessee. Injured in an accident?
call Ponce Law. We offer a no-fee guarantee, and for over 30 years, we've been helping injured people just like you. We've been voted best law firm multiple times. I'm Michael Ponce. If you've been injured, call us today at 615-244-4321. Ponce Law, justice for all.
The President's Day sale is on at Electronic Express. Save up to 30% on desktop computers, laptops, and smart home tech. Up to 40% off TVs, home theater, and Bluetooth speakers. And up to 50% off appliances, housewares, and more. Plus, save up to an additional $1,200 on select appliance brands. Shopping local has perks like free delivery and up to 24 months interest-free financing. Shop in-store or at electronicexpress.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Now time for our stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. Kelly and George, this is a good one. Darius Acuff Jr. totaled the most points ever by a freshman against a ranked team. But which freshman holds the record for most points ever in a game? Hint, he changed his name in the NBA.
Yeah, it's Chris Jackson, likely, Kelly, and he became.
Yes.
Oh gosh, it was Abdul. It was Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, I think you're right. At LSU, right?
Yep.
I think that's who it is.
This. I don't think there needs to be any more suspense because George was on it.
He did, man.
I can't even. I'm not even going to try to say that name.
It's like Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Chris Jackson. He's absolutely right. I can remember him. He was really good.
You know, fun fact: my parents almost named me that.
Shut up, Parker.
Kelly, I would love to have been a PA announcer to give it a big Rauf.
I can't believe you did. Did you not have any games against him, George?
He was at LSU right as I came back from Memphis, where Lee Fowler was my color announcer, but doesn't seem to ever really mention that.
Well, speaking of which, we do have Lee Fowler, who has actually been with us since I think about 3:30. He really wanted to listen to our Titans free agency talk, and he joins us now. Lee, is George right about what he was saying about you being the color announcer? Are you proud that you were with him?
No, but yes, that is true. But he is right. I hardly ever mentioned it because I know he's going to mention it, so I don't need to mention it.
I guess that's right.
What do you think? Lee? What do you think the Titans should do?
I think the Titans need to punt.
Well, at least if they're punting, they're not turning the ball over.
That is true. That is true.
No, I think that I like Kelly's opinion of it. I know most teams are he doesn't care about safeties because they're just going to get a Hail Mary when he threw it down the field, and he cares about corners because they're going to intercept it if he throws it to them. I think that Kelly's got it right. The people that the NFL care about are the ones you need to build a team around, and unfortunately, they've got a little bit ways to go. They have a quarterback, but he isn't going to last long if they keep tackling him as much as they did this year behind the line. So they've got a lot of issues, but we saw it at the Patriots. Went from 5-13 to almost win the Super Bowl in a year or so. So I think it can be done. It's just, unfortunately, it's not something that everybody has the playbook to, and it's harder than people think to be good. And Kelly knows it because he played it. NFL and any sports program, it's hard to be the winner.
And you're right, Lee. So I threw out this bold statement earlier, and George was like, I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but we've been talking about Darren Peterson of Kansas, and he had 23 points last night in 18 minutes, pulled himself out of the game. Bill Self was asked about it in the post game, and basically just he didn't know why. He didn't know why that happened, and I believe it was the cramping issue that's popped up again. If I'm an NBA team and I'm looking to draft him, he's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick if I had to guess. I would be nervous just because I don't know if he would be available. But I also said, too, I believe he could have played against Arizona a couple Mondays ago. So I'm questioning his love for the game. Do you think that's too far?
Yeah, I think that's too far. I think that, number one, when you're from Murray County and places where Kelly and I are from, you just know a spoonful of mustard will get rid of those cramps. So I'm not sure that the doctors in Kansas know enough to do that, but I think he is one of the best players and among a lot of great players in college right now. And the sad part is guys in college football and basketball, they're going to take themselves out if somebody's in the ear talking about you don't need to push it now. If you hurt yourself, you'll cost yourself a lot of money and this and that. Now, they're making a lot of money already, but they're thinking of their future, and their agents, they already have agents, whether they're supposed to or not. And, that has a lot to do with it because he plays awful hard to be somebody that doesn't care about playing.
Okay. So I won't say that anymore, but I'm really confused by that. But do you think that the perception of Darren Peterson among the NBA draft, scout community is tainted at all just because he's missed so much time this year?
Well, I think they like for guys to play a lot because they're 82 games in their schedule. They don't quite go at it quite as hard in the early quarters of their games, but I think it's all about talent. And there's one thing the NBA does is they get guys that are most talented and have the most upside. And then all the other issues they feel like they can deal with. And he has the ability to be the best player in the country. So they're going to take that a whole lot more credence in that than worrying about whether he didn't play a lot or did play a lot, because his injuries hadn't seemed to be that hard. I just think he's probably been careful.
And we're gonna stay in the Big 12. Actually, we're gonna stay in the state of Kansas because on the other side of the state, Kansas State, they just fired Jerome Tang, and they're trying to fire him with cause given the comments that he made following the Cincinnati loss. What did you think of the fact that the athletic director is trying to fire him with cause for those comments?
Well, I think with as many of the bad budgets as I've seen across the country, they always try not to pay you. And I would say that's just the first step in negotiations, because I didn't think he said anything that was, I don't know what his contract says, but it'd be amazing to me if his contract at Kansas State says he can't say anything negative about his players. But I would think that'd be a long shot, and I think he'll get paid. He may have to go through court to get it, but I think he'll get paid.
Do you believe that part of what he said was right? Because, he made the comment that, half of these guys won't even be here next year or something along the lines of that. And, college basketball can be pretty transactional. So maybe if it just came across the right way, do you think there's a hint of truth to that?
I think there's any question what he said. I didn't see anything that was wrong with what he said. It maybe shouldn't be said about your team if you're trying to win the next game, but I think that's what they're living in. It's the bubble of college basketball coaches and the people that are playing for them, is that there's no question that half the team wouldn't be there next year. Some might be because he'd get rid of them, and the other be because they didn't play enough and they're leaving. So I think it's just really about he said the things that are true about college basketball right now. And, I've seen guys say a lot worse about, well, I think he even said they didn't deserve to have a Kansas State jersey on. And we've seen that at other schools where they've said that. Sometimes they turn around and play well the next night. Sometimes they don't. But I just think it's a powder keg with what guys are going through and coaching, trying to coach these young men that are looking out for themselves, and you're trying to get a team that can go out and win. Plus, the Big 12's really a tough league. The top 6 teams in the Big 12 are pretty much 6 losses or 12. Through the, I guess there are 4 or 5 teams that you might have 10 losses to if you play them all. So, that makes it tough on a coach.
Mick Cronin is another one of those guys that had some comments after, the Michigan State loss earlier for the Bruins this week. Did you see what Mick Cronin was saying after the post game?
Well, he pretty much says something after every post game.
That's what it seems like. So
yeah, I loved his comments. He thanked the Big Ten for having 5 out of his first 7 games on the road. That was one of his comments. Of course, the league didn't like that, and then some press guy asked him, "What do you think? It's tougher on the Big Ten schools to come out here or you to go there?" He said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "We go there 5 road trips a year. They come out here once, and they're in California, good weather. They sleep in the same bed for 3 nights because you play UCLA and you play Southern Cal, and you stay at the same hotel. You don't move." So he's not been kind to the Big Ten about the position he's been put in. But, he's one of those guys that's always been that way. And I think less and less because of the money they make and because of the money the players make, that people are going to be sit back and listen to that without getting upset, because fans are upset if you're not winning and that's at UCLA, you got to win because they're used to that history. It's been a while since they were really, really good. But I just think that those schools are going to have a short leash with what's going on in college basketball.
How much should our perception change of the the athletes, because they're getting paid a lot of money, but it used to be back in the day you chain at them, you taunt them or whatever, and someone would say they're just college athletes, leave them alone. They're college kids, leave them alone. Now they're getting paid, and this is becoming more of a professional business. How much should our perception of the athletes themselves change now that they're making millions of dollars?
Well, I don't know if it should change. You still want them to do the same thing producers went on the court, but you can't have your cake and the icing too, because you're wanting them to be loyal to your school, and they're really not loyal to any school. They're loyal to who's going to pay them the most and give them the best opportunity. And I don't even think they're all looking to play pro ball now. They're looking for the best 5 to 6 years they can make the most money. I mean, there's college guys now that can make enough in 6 years of college that if they were smart with their money would not have to worry about really having to have a job for years and years. So it's a different game. It's loyalties went out a long time ago, but it's really gone out now. It's all about what have you done for me lately with paying me, or I'm going somewhere else. So these coaches are making a lot of money, but I think the money they're making is going to be short-lived because people are going to expect a lot of what their players are being paid and what they're paying the coaches. So I think the leash is going to be shorter.
I got one more question, then I'll turn it over to George and Kelly. But Michigan and Purdue played the other night, and I thought this had the chance to be one of the games of the year. And Michigan did whatever they wanted inside of Mackey Arena. And it's crazy because Purdue usually does not lose a lot at home, and they've lost it 3 times in Mackey this year, and Michigan just skull drug them. What is the – I don't want to phrase the question this way because we all know the ceiling of Michigan is national championship. They're national championship good. In your words, just how dominant has this Michigan team been this year?
Well, I've seen games where they were just I thought they played Nebraska and didn't play as well as they could play and could have lost if Nebraska had made a shot at the end of the game or a couple. I think we're going to know a lot Saturday. They play in Cameron on Saturday, number 1 against number 3. And that'll tell a lot, because that'll even be worse than a neutral court in Indianapolis this year playing somebody. When you go into Cameron, and we all know Duke's really good. So that's probably the basketball game this year to watch, to see two top 4 or 5 teams, 2 that have a chance to win national championship if they stay healthy. I think that's a game that's a must watch.
So, Lee, I guess I'll go. You brought up Michigan, and I'm sitting here thinking, and I used this with you the other day, but the UConn team that won it back to back. I mean, they were truly dominant. There was nobody. They lost a couple of games on the way, but everybody knew, like, they didn't. It wasn't even close when they played in the NCAA tournament those 2 years with any of those games. Is there a truly dominant team this year in college basketball?
I don't think like that team was. They were 8 deep, and an injury wouldn't hurt them because they had guys at every position that could, and they were so big. I remember seeing them in the Final Four those 2 years, and they were so long and so athletic. They were really as good as I'd ever seen in college as a team. I don't think Michigan's quite that good. I think Michigan can have an off night shooting and struggle. So that's why I think this weekend's Duke game will be interesting to see, because it's going to be very aggressive, and they're used to that, of course. Purdue's not what they've been. Purdue can't score as well as they have scored in the past, and they didn't have that 9-foot guy in the middle like they had in the years in past to kind of take away any mistakes they made. So they've struggled a little bit. They've lost all of their tough games, road and at home. And so I think Michigan will show us a whole lot more Saturday about really how good they are across the board.
So I want to go back to the Jerome Tang situation, because I thought what he said was cool, but I think we've got so much. Everybody's offended now about things said, and coaches used to say stuff all the time, but now with social media, with the way our society is, people frown upon that. And sometimes, just like we talked a couple of weeks ago with Tom Izzo trying to get the Fears kid attention, and he did. He's been doing it for a long time, but is this going to start happening more with what happened at Kansas State? And then how hard will it be for Jerome Tang to get another job, do you think?
I'm not sure it'll be that hard. Of course, he may have to go to Florida Atlantic or someplace, and kind of like the NC State guy went to McNeese State. He's got a great reputation. I'm not sure that'll be that hard. He's had a great record overall through the years. Kansas State is a really hard place to win, especially in the league they're in. So I would think it's kind of the book. You can open up to about page 22, and he'll be on ESPN next year, maybe for 2 years, show his bubbly personality, and then he'll be coaching somewhere after that.
So with all the transfer stuff going on around the country, do you see a little parity in college basketball? Is that coming? I just talked about the dominant teams of UConn. Maybe Michigan is. I don't know if they're that team this year, and you just said it. But do you see more parity coming in college basketball?
I haven't seen it yet. I think what I think we're seeing is that the amount of money. We've gone through a learning stage with administrators, with fans, with coaches, with players, and now we're kind of settling in, and so they're all figuring what the deal is. But I think the fans thought, whoa, wait a second, we're how much are we going in debt every year, and now we can't win half our games in our own league, and so I think the pressures are going to mount, and I think that's going to put a lot of issues on our coaches to do things that probably are they wouldn't do otherwise, with post-game talks like this gentleman that has gone from Kansas State, and Izzo's been doing that for years. But I don't think parity. I think when the tournament starts, I think you're going to see 5 or 6 teams that are pretty dominant, and the rest of the teams will beat each other, and you're going to end up, and we've talked about it before, the 6 or 7 teams that we could name right now, maybe 8, that'll be in the Final Four, and I think those teams are the better teams in the country. I was looking today. Florida's the number one SEC team in the rankings, and they're 12th in the country. But, I mean, they're playing a lot better than a 12th place team in the country. And so teams go up and down during the year, no matter whether they're being paid or not. And some coaches lose them and get them back. And so it's going to be interesting. I think it's just like it always is. It's just we're dealing with a different animal than we've dealt with. People are starting to kind of at least think they understand it. And so therefore, I think that's the issue we're dealing with. And that's why as we said last week, Kelly, I think what we're seeing is same 25 teams are going to be the top 25 teams. They're just getting about it a different way, but they have the most money. And the one thing I learned in 50 years in college athletics, follow the money, and the teams that have the most money usually do the best. And no matter what system you're in.
So my last one here, Alabama, I'm sure, I don't know if you watched the Alabama-Arkansas game last night. Being an older guy, do you like that type of play? Because I felt like we've gotten professional sports in college basketball, and the ACUF kid was unbelievable last night, scoring 49 points. But, there's not much defense going on. It felt so much like an NBA game to me. I know Alabama was hitting shots in the second half. At one point, it was almost like 80% or something like that just to get them back in the game. But being an old school guy, do you like that type of game, or would you like to see a little bit more defense?
Well, I think defense and maybe running a little more interaction on the teams of cutting and passing, and they basically just spread it out and go one-on-one. And there's a lot of fouling that goes on that makes the game look kind of crazy because they let them chest up, and that if they called every foul, there wouldn't be anybody left in the game, and there almost wasn't with Arkansas last night. But the game. Carol and I watched it. She doesn't watch games very often, but she loved seeing that one because that thing was up and down, and everybody was shooting and scoring, and there was a lot going on. There wasn't a lot of downtime in that game, and I thought it was two talented teams that basically played hard, which to me is different than NBA. I don't think the NBA plays hard until the fourth quarter, but these kids play hard. They get after it. And I thought it was a great game to watch. But as you said, I'm not wild about just ripping up and down the floor and throwing up just shots from everywhere.
With that, we will continue our conversation with Lee Fowler, college basketball insider, on the other side of the break. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Celebrity Bowling Night.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
Back into the George Plaster, continuing our conversation with college basketball insider Lee Fowler. Going to open up the floor for George to get some questions. George, take it away.
Lee, have you missed me?
George, I have missed you. And now I'm looking at this picture of you. Was that a high school graduation picture, or what was that?
What is the picture?
It's you got a black and gold
you
towel.
emceeing an event. It's the on the phone graphic.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's been a while ago. It was about 10 years ago.
I like it. I wish we had a picture of me from 10 years ago, and I'd call on the phone too.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw a really cynical opinion at you about the whole Jerome Tang thing. And I want to see if you buy it or think it's total hogwash. First of all, I don't believe for a minute the AD at Kansas State even believes what he put out there. The argument is so stupid and so just mean-spirited. It has, in my opinion, no legal basis. But I can see Kansas State saying, okay, we're firing Tang. He's going to want to be available by mid-March when all of the jobs come open. And if he's in litigation with us, schools will back away. And so we believe that Tang will take 50 cents on the dollar just to get himself freed up. This is what I believe Kansas State is doing. It's shameful. It's pathetic. But I don't believe even the AD is stupid enough to believe what he put out there.
Well, I don't know the AD, but I can tell you that it's according to what's in the contract of what is calls and what is without calls, and it should be in writing. So it wouldn't take long, I think, to go to get an injunction against Kansas State, and I've known other schools to say that they wanted to pay their coach, but he had to stay and work at the university. And, if that's not in the contract, and very few of them are, because you're getting hired wherever you're going, you're usually not known in that area. And it's a pretty clean written contract that if you do your job, they pay you. And if you don't do your job, you have to have some cause. And most of the time the cause is breaking rules, illegal rules, or disparaging the university to the level of hurting the university. And I don't think anything he said was anything that would have hurt the university. So I'm on your side, and I don't know why they're doing it, but he may be doing it because he may have issues.
Okay, let's get to one that's really near and dear, kind of to both of us. Memphis is sitting there 12-13. They've got attendance problems. They've always been an athletic department that was a little short on money. And when they hired Penny Hardaway, it was the hometown boy makes good. And there were great feelings about it. But a lot of those feelings have gone away. And this is the flip side of when you hire one of your own that at the end it can really get ugly. Do you think we're at the end?
I've talked to a few people down there, but nobody in the power positions. I think that I don't think it's going to happen this year by any chance. I think that it's to the point where you're uncomfortable doing it, and that at some point Penny's going to say, "Look, I can do this somewhere else if I have to," because he feels like he came back to try to do what he needed to do for his university, and he's given a lot to that program, and he's done really well. I mean, you can't for a couple of seasons that are not great, especially in this environment. I'm not sure anybody else could do any better than he's done. And I think this environment also, you can turn it around. We've seen that at Vanderbilt, how you can turn it around really quickly with a couple of 3 or 4 players. And you can always get those now because they're out there and willing to come. So I don't know about their money situation. I would think that they would struggle a little bit competing for the best players in the country. But Penny's name and his associations with a lot of people in not only college basketball, but NBA basketball has to help them recruit kids to have a chance to play at the next level.
So you feel pretty confident they do not fire him this year?
I do. I don't know anything, but I'd say that that'd be hard after the number of years he's been there. And I don't know what his overall record is, but he's been pretty successful. Now, they haven't been in the Final Four, but, if you get there every one 10 or 15 years, you're pretty lucky. So I think that they've been really a good program, but they haven't exactly – nobody ever does what the fans' expectations were when the season started. And I think that's probably more of an issue in Memphis than anything else.
Give me some thoughts on Vandy, and let me tell you where I'm going with it. Lee, last night was the second time in about a week and a half where in the first 35 minutes of the game, I've kind of sat there and felt like their tank is on empty. And then out of nowhere, they just have this miraculous run, both against Oklahoma and last night against Missouri, to get right there. Do you feel like their tank is getting close to empty? Is it that people have said we're going to beat up Tanner and we'll see if any of the others can beat us? What do you think's going on there?
Well, I think they're missing the depth they had earlier. And so I think they're going through portions of the game where they don't score as well as they did. The guards that are hurt and are out right now really gave them a steady influence offensively through the whole game. And I think they're missing that now. So they're making runs, but they're not able to start out and be even or be ahead from the beginning all the way through the game. And I think they're really missing both those guards. And, I don't know anybody around the program. I don't know when they're coming back or if they're coming back. But I think they need those guards back quicker than they can get them back, because I think that adds a lot to their depth, a lot to their consistent scoring through the game. And if they don't come back, I think you're right. They're running on fumes because they've got, games. Tennessee this weekend's a big game. They've got Kentucky on the road. They've got Tennessee on the road, Ole Miss on the road. I mean, they've got some games that they really need some help on. So hopefully one of those kids or both will be back soon, because I think that really help them.
From what I hear, there's a real shot Duke Miles could play Saturday against Tennessee. Frankie Collins isn't coming back. I don't know why they haven't just gone ahead and said that. He's done. He's not playing anymore. And you can interpret what I'm saying however you want to interpret it, but he's not coming back. Anyway.
Is that injury, or is that he wants another year to play, or what is that?
I believe the answer is B.
Okay. That's understandable if you're making $500,000 or so. I don't think I made that as selling life insurance my first year out of college. So I think it's probably something that you need to look at least.
nor did I make that at Memphis State. The
Yeah,
color
really.
guy made most of the money there.
That's all. No question about that.
So, okay, you got two really good teams Saturday here, the Tennessee Vandy game. And I'm just kind of curious what you think will ultimately decide that game.
Well, I think the home court will help a bunch. And I don't think they'll have quite as many, especially if Miles plays, they won't have the scoring deficiencies they've had. Have a little more rest, a little bit more continuity, subbing in and out. If he doesn't play, then I think they struggle a little bit because they do have to depend on Tanner so much. And he needs to rest some during the game, even though if you take him out 30 seconds before TV timeout or something, he needs to get his breath, because as hard as he plays, it's tough. But Coach Byington's done a great job with him, and I'm sure he's struggling with, that they've had two games that they could have won, but kind of got down so bad that they had to really almost make every shot to come back, and they almost did. So you don't want to get in that situation. You want to try to keep it a more consistent offensive game throughout the game, which I think if Miles comes will help them do that.
Lee, kind of tell us how this kind of thing works. For the second time in NCAA basketball history, a plaster color analyst rises to the level of selection chairman of the NCAA men's basketball committee. This time it's CM Newton's son, Martin Newton, who's the athletic director at Samford. Okay, we're about 3 weeks away from the committee ultimately making all the decisions. What kind of things is he charging the committee to figure out right now?
Well, they're doing it a little different than we did. First of all, they had computers, and we didn't have computers, believe it or not. In 2002, we're still doing most of it on paper. But they're able to go to, what is it, Chat Spat, or what's the name of the new computer thing, and ask the question?
Chat GPT.
GPT.
Yeah, that's right. Go there, they don't have to worry as much as we did.
They should rename it to Chat Spat.
Yeah, that's right. But I think, George, that he's got – they usually meet at least on the phone and talk about teams that they're really considering. The first night you get there, you got to tell all the teams that you think should get in the tournament without any discussion. And usually that's 10 members now. It used to be 9, but there's 10 members now. So you have to get on 7 of those ballots to get into the tournament. So those people you're not really worried about, because they're going to get in. And it always comes down to the last 8 to 10 schools that you're dealing with for probably the last 6 spots. And so they're looking at those teams that they think fall into those last 10 or 12 that'll be considered. You can watch it. The guru on ESPN is always telling you last 4 in, last 4 out, those kind of things. Those are kind of the teams that they're looking at, and I think that's what he's talking to them about. Being from CM's bloodline, he will be talking about road wins are very important. We want to get teams because, when you win road games, it means a lot to coaches, because that means you've gone on the road, beat a team this tournament's played on neutral court, but you want the teams that have won and won the best games on the road. So there'll be a lot going on about those last 12 schools, 10 schools that get those last 6 to 8 spots.
Okay, there used to be, I think, a point of emphasis, and I think they did away with the point of emphasis of your last 10 games. How are you playing as you go into March? Why did they do that?
I don't really know. I think that we thought that was really important, and I think it's still one of the tools, but it's not one of the emphasis. I'm sure some coaches on the NABC decided that wasn't really fair, that a lot of schools don't get a chance to play the last 10 games against teams that would matter about the tournament. And but I think it's very important, especially when you're talking about a team at 7th or 8th in the ACC, which I'm looking at those teams right now as being maybe 7 from the ACC, maybe only 6 according to how they play out. Then you got the Big 10 who maybe could go 11 or 12. So all those type schools, I think it's very important because they're playing good teams, usually some national ranked teams at the end of the year. And you look at how they did those last 10 games, really matters. But I don't know why they took that away. We thought it was very important, but they have not put as much emphasis on that now.
Okay, I know I'm hogging this, and I apologize, but this one has really caught my eye. So Miami of Ohio is undefeated. They're like 25 or 26-0 out of the MAC. Lenardi has them as an 11 seed, and I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. If that's the highest a MAC team can ever get, they ought to just secede from the union. Is Lenardi right with that number?
Well, I think if you're Miami, you feel good about it because more than likely you could lose your tournament and still get in because he's got him, because most of those conferences, MAC's one of the better ones, but most of the time they're in the 12, 13 spots, and 11 at least is kind of in the tournament. You may have to go to Dayton to actually win a game, but you get paid to do that. So ADs are okay with that. And it's tough to put them any place else. Have you noticed how they've been winning games late? They've been behind. They've struggled lately. That undefeated is really getting to them, and they've struggled even in home games. Yeah. It's not easy to go undefeated, even though if you're playing teams you can beat.
I have a question about St. Louis, the other mid-major team that is ranked, and they lost last night 2 nights ago to Rhode Island. Do you think the St. Louis team could make some noise in March Madness?
No question. I think they're really good, and I think Rhode Island's a tough place to play, and it's those teams have. Rhode Island's been really good for many years, so they're used to winning games like that, and it's just hard to maintain games where you're winning every game, and so I think that's not bad for them. That'll probably jerk them back in and have them ready to play. And Kelly, you probably like that team because their guys playing for St. Louis probably making $60,000 instead of 500 or 600,000.
That's right. Hey, Lee, I got a question for you. This is kind of an awful wall question, but watching the Vandy game last night when they were playing Missouri, I want to know what your thoughts on refereeing now, because those guys were banging. Some of the fouls that should have been called weren't called, and then they call these little bitty fouls when they just touch guys. I mean, it seems like there's no consistency whatsoever in reffing anymore.
Yeah, it kind of reeks. And the bad part about it, we did a lot of research on that back in 25 years ago. And believe it or not, most all college basketball games, you're going to average about 15 to 17 on each team. And so if you're high on that number and it's 10 minutes left, they may let them go for it. I mean, it was amazing to us by studying, and game was so different. 50 years, we did from 50 years forward, and it was so different game. But we've realized that the officials are only going to call so many fouls because they don't want it to think that they're the reason that the team won or lost. And so they're going to try to keep it consistent. Doesn't mean you're calling the same fouls on each end. Consistent means they're calling about the same number on each team throughout the game. So at the night you get back and say, oh, well, wait a second. I look at this stat sheet. We had the same number of fouls. I mean, it's almost it's human nature. It's not because they're trying to do that, but I think they know that they can't call everything, and they're trying to make the obvious calls. And we as fans, if you're for a team, you think that's an obvious call, but if you were for the other team, you thought it was okay to let it go. So I mean, it's really I learned one thing, Kelly and George, when I was over the basketball committee and was sitting at those gyms where I was in charge of the officiating, which is it's scarier than me being your sidekick on the radio. Is I was in charge of the officiating, and I never saw that many bad calls because I didn't care who won. I just wanted it to be a good game and the game called like it's supposed to be called. So if you don't care about the outcome, it's amazing how much better the officials are.
So what about Missouri, a team that is on the outside looking in? The latest bracketology had them as the first team in the first 4 out. And I believe there was a graphic on the broadcast last night saying that if they won that game, they were moved into the last 4 in. Do you think that Missouri should be firmly in the field of 68, at least right now?
No, I mean, I think they're one of those 12 teams that are going to have to, as we used to say, winning's good, losing's bad. They don't need to lose down the stretch. Now, some teams really hurt themselves by losing because they lose their seed. Other teams hurt themselves because they lose late and they don't get in the tournament. So it's just according to where you are on what bubble is how it affects you. And Missouri's definitely a team that has a chance to be in, and they need to win games, home games especially, and upsets really help them. So they've had some good wins, but they've also struggled during the middle part of the year. So that hurts them. So I think it's very important to them to end the season. You don't want to go into the SEC tournament, lose your first round game and those kind of things. Those are very important because those committee members are all sitting together that weekend and they're looking at teams, and a guy from West Coast hadn't seen Missouri play much. If he sees them lose by 30 to somebody, it hurts in his vote. So I think it's very important for Missouri to finish out strong, as it is for everybody. But in their case, it's about getting in or out of the tournament.
And this is the last one, but Santa Clara, I think Lenardi has them in as well. I watched a little bit of their game versus Gonzaga last Saturday night, and given the league that they play in, the West Coast Conference, given their schedule, they don't have many opportunities for those quad one wins that are so important. And they had an opportunity to do that against Gonzaga, getting them at home. They lost, but Lenardi still has them in. So how do you grade a team like that who has a really good record, but doesn't have the quad one victories that some other teams may have on their resume?
Yeah, I think they played some pretty good schools early and had some good wins, but I think it'll all come down to winning the games they're supposed to win. And then if St. Mary's, they go to St. Mary's to play late in the year, and then they have their tournament. So I only think 2 will get out of that league, and I think it'll be St. Mary's or them, and who wins, among they're probably going to play St. Mary's twice because they'll be 2 and 3, and in the tournament they'll play St. Mary's, and they've got to play them. I think at St. Mary's this Saturday or some point they play at.
Yes, or no, it's next week. Next week, the 25th.
Okay,
but it's at St. Mary's.
So I think that they're both good teams. It'll have a lot to do with what, like a Missouri does. Missouri loses a bunch of games, knocks itself out. Those teams are on the bubble, and one of those teams won't get there. St. Mary's probably has the better chance to get in unless St. Clair upsets them in their tournament and plays Gonzaga in the finals. Also, another good game we hadn't mentioned today is Arizona and Houston play Saturday also. That's 2 playing 4. So you got 1 and 3 playing and 2 and 4 playing. So those are great games for somebody that wants to get ready for the Final Four type games. Those are going to be really good games.
I said it earlier. We get a Final Four matchup in February, right before March Madness. So lots of great basketball really throughout this week. And we didn't even mention Iowa State and Houston on Monday night. That was phenomenal as well. So it was awesome. It was I think it was the game of the year. It's right up there in my mind with Alabama and St. John's that was played, I think, back in December. So lots of great basketball. Lee, really appreciate the time coming on today. Nice to have the whole crew together, minus Ron Bargatze. We got to figure out where he is. Do you know where Ron is?
No, but
we do know. Coach B had some surgery, Lee, about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks. Yeah.
And is recovering. and hope we're able to get him back on soon.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I actually didn't know that. So prayers to Coach B. Hope he's doing all right.
And by the way, I want to tell you guys it's sunny and 82 in Destin today.
Thanks for rubbing it in.
Thanks, Lee. Appreciate you. That's awesome.
You guys take care. See you next week.
Thank you,
brother.
Lee. That was Lee Fowler, college basketball insider. Lots of great stuff. We'll wrap up on the other side of the break here on the George Plaster Show. Give you some bets, maybe. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall.
The George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well done, Brando, with the bump music. Kelly, can you hear this? This is a little Phil Collins, Take Me Home. Played this at the end of the Monday Night Football broadcast once they got to the fourth quarter. Man,
I cannot, Parker. Sorry, man. It sucks. I wish I could.
Oh, great song. Great song. So we just got Go ahead, George.
This is great music.
Great music. Are you guys surprised I knew who this was?
I am kind of surprised because if that was Billy, Billy would have had no clue.
I'm a little cultured, guys. You guys don't give me enough credit around here.
I hope that little punk Billy's listening.
What is really sad is the stuff that your generation calls music is a bunch of junk.
No, I agree.
I totally agree with that, George. Absolutely right.
I barely listened to any of it, so I don't know.
Oh, it's bad.
So we got some hockey tomorrow. U.S. and Slovakia, Canada and Finland. Should be exciting. We'll get to see who plays in the gold medal round. And not a lot of basketball action tonight. A lot of the mid-majors are playing, but Friday night, loaded. VCU and St. Louis, a premier A10 matchup. VCU trying to steal a bid and get into the NCAA tournament. Indiana and Purdue, a great rivalry game in Mackey nonetheless. And Miami, Ohio will take on Bowling Green. They are 26-0. We'll see if they can get to 27-0. Let's make some predictions because Kelly, you won't be on the show tomorrow, right?
I mean, I can be if y'all need me because I've the first 2 days I was gone. So if y'all need me, I can. If y'all don't, then I'll have a good day.
I don't know.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off the air.
We can talk about it later. Let's make some predictions for Saturday, shall we? Vanderbilt and Tennessee, fellas. What are we thinking on this one?
Vandy only because it's at home. If the game were in Knoxville, Tennessee,
and that's what I was thinking last night, guys. It's hard. It's hard to win on the road, man. And when you go Georgia, that's the first time Georgia has beaten Kentucky. A couple of nights ago in Rupp Arena since like the early 2000s.
I was shocked.
Yeah, so it's really hard to win games on the road, especially Rupp Arena. And they've lost 3 games at Rupp Arena this year, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah,
I mean, their fan base is just out of their mind. They can't figure this team out because this team's been good enough to beat Tennessee twice, to go to Arkansas and win, really not be very competitive against Georgia. Vandy beat the hell out of them here. Their fan base isn't real thrilled with the state of the union. And if you really look at it, Oweh is their best player. And in a lot of the eras of Kentucky basketball, he wouldn't be any more than their 4th or 5th best player.
Yeah.
That's probably a fair point. I know he had the chance to go to the NBA, but they wanted him to improve his 3-point shooting, so that's why he came back to Kentucky. Yeah. And then he overemphasized trying to shoot the 3, and other areas of his game lacked. The part about him driving and finishing at the rim, I thought he was one of the best in the SEC at doing that. He was the preseason player of the year, but he's focusing on shooting the 3 so much that it's kind of hurt the rest of the team.
Who do they play Saturday?
Let me look. I'm not sure. I know they're sitting at 9 losses on the year, and they have 7 losses against ranked opponents, or at least were ranked when they played them. Yeah, I have such a hard time figuring this Kentucky team out. I'm finding it, George. Hold on.
I think that's like a lot of these teams, though. It's hard to figure them out because one day they're up, one day they're down, one day they're up, one day they're down.
Perfect. They play Auburn on Saturday, a team that's really, really struggling, and it's in Neville Arena, the jungle. So either Auburn's going to get a decent win or Kentucky's about to end Auburn's hopes and dreams.
Wow, way to go out on a limb.
Yeah. You want to know what else is going out on a limb is this bet of the day that I have cooked up, and Tony of Nolensville would be so proud of me because I'm taking Austin Peay to cover tonight versus North Florida, minus 11.5.
Pretty good pick. I don't know how good North Florida is, but Austin Peay's really good this year.
Oh, they're not good. North Florida's not good. I just need wins.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I just need need wins at this point. There's not a lot of basketball going on, so I'm riding with the Clarksville's own Austin Peay Governors. We'll talk a lot.
Turned into a joke in college. They're no good games.
I know they need to spread this out because they put all the good games on Tuesday and Wednesday night. Spread it out a little bit throughout the week. That's my tirade. So, all right, we will talk a lot of college basketball tomorrow on the show. We'll have Mark Griffin, former Vol, to help us break down all of it. We'll see you tomorrow on the George Plaster Show.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus.